Hello, my name is Lisa Madsen and I'm the data analyst for this project. I'd like to share some insights about the effect of the influenza in the USA and how we can prepare for the upcoming flu season. And I will guide you through the final project presentation. I'd also like to welcome all stakeholder representatives here today. Let's start with addressing the effects of influenza in the USA. During influenza season, more people than usual suffer from the flu and subsequently develop serious complications, which results in a hospital visit. Those cases create an additional need for medical staff, which is provided by the Medical Staffing Agency. Our project objective is to support the creation of a staffing plan that aims to utilize all available agency staff per state requirement. To do so, we first need to answer some key questions. First, when will we need the most staff, or more precisely, when is flu season? We previously already initially specified the time frame for flu season at the beginning of this project, but I'd like to do a quick recap and maybe share some insights with you. The second question is, where are areas most at risk, or which states are more afflicted? And the third question is, who are the most vulnerable population groups? The answers to those questions will help us determine staffing requirements per state. For our analysis, we looked at the data from the US Census Bureau from 2009 to 2017, as well as CDC data on influenza deaths for the same time frame. An initial investigation into the data revealed that almost 50,000 patients died of influenza each year, and that 9 out of 10 patients are people over the retirement age, which at the moment is 65. Therefore, our initial assumption was that senior citizens are the most vulnerable to influenza. But let's start with specifying the time for the most additional staffing needs by looking at the CDC data. As we can see in this visualization, while influenza cases result in death year-round, the number of deaths peaks between December to February, with an additional peak in the month of March, while the numbers decrease during the summer months. From that, we can derive an additional need for medical staff during peak flu season. The graph right now displays the sum of all years, but feel free to, for example, look at our most recent year in the data, which is 2017, which displays some variation, but still the same pattern, with a peak between December to February and an additional peak in March, with a decrease in deaths during the summer months. When we look at the map and superimpose our data, we can identify the states with the most fatalities. For example, California has the highest number of influenza deaths from 2009 to 2017, which is, as you can see, 54,002 people. New York, Texas, Pennsylvania, and Florida are also heavily afflicted. Generally, most influenza deaths seem to occur on the US east side, California and Texas being the only exception. The reasons for that could be multiple, but the general assumption is the difference in climate. But who exactly are these fatalities, or what part of the population is most likely to experience complications? Well, as stated before, the initial investigation revealed that 9 out of 10 influenza deaths are patients over the age of 65. When you look at the breakdown of all influenza deaths by age group here on the left side, you will notice the large sections of darker color, which are the older age groups. Based on this, we hypothesized that people over 65 years are more likely to die from influenza. To test this assumption, we compared the number of influenza deaths of the age group 65 plus to the population size of the same age group. As a quick side note, we combined the age groups from 65 on for analytical purpose. Our comparison, as seen here, revealed a strong correlation, which means the larger the population size, the larger the number of influenza deaths. In later statistical tests, we compared the mortality rate of people under 65 to people over 65 and can now say with 95% confidence that the two groups are significantly different and that the mortality rate of people 65 years of age and older is significantly higher than the mortality rate of people below 65. So what this means in conclusion is that states with large populations of people over 65 are high-risk states and have a higher demand for medical staff. On this map, you can see the total influenza deaths compared to the population sizes of people over 65, as seen in the size of the points. For example, let's look at California, with the highest amounts of death and the biggest population of 65 plus. A similar pattern is seen in other states, especially on the east side. So what does this mean for the future? For the forecast, we sorted the states into their respective US regions, but feel free to look at individual states later on. Our calculations show an increase in potential fatalities in the southeast of USA. As you might know, one of the 5 states with the most influenza deaths is in the southeast, which is Florida, so we can expect an increased potential for more influenza deaths. But let's compare 2 of the 5 states with the most historical influenza deaths, which is California on the west coast and Florida on the east coast. Despite California being the state with the most fatalities, Florida shows a rising forecast. The reason for the significantly rising forecast could be that Florida is the popular retirement state, but we would have to investigate further to get some insights into the actual reason. It is important to notice that every forecast line also shows the potential for deviation, as seen in the semi-transparent areas. So while the other regions don't indicate a change, they still have the potential to rise or fall. Based on our analysis, we categorized US states into 3 risk levels. In this table on the left side, the states are ranked high to low risk. The ranking is based on the number of historical influenza deaths and the population size of 65 plus. In conclusion, I would advise adjusting a medical staffing plan proportional to the population size of the age group 65 plus. Also, medical care facilities and divisions in hospitals catered specifically to that population group should be prioritized. Additionally, the influx of patients during flu season should be countered by providing more medical staff during peak months. I would say that raising awareness about the influenza issue could also be helpful to counter the influx of patients. Other actions, such as promoting vaccination options, could prevent fatalities as well. In the future, further investigation into influenza risks in other age groups will be necessary because our current data is not enough to make any assumptions, as it is subject to medical privacy laws. This completes my presentation. Thank you for your time and attention, and feel free to ask me any questions you might have about the analysis project. Have a good day.